Warning, the RCWR Show with Lee Sanders is intended for a mature audience only. The following is an Infinity One Productions presentation, keeping it honest, insightful, and interactive. Covering the latest in wrestling and beyond since 2011. You're listening to the RCWR Show. Now, your host, live from the nation's capital in Washington, D.C., Lee Sanders.
Hey, what is going on? Yeah, Monday night, October 12th, 2020. All new, the RCWR Show, covering the latest in all things wrestling, entertainment, and beyond since 2011. A very well-rested Lee Sanders here. Well-rested, but kind of feel as though I'm getting a little bit under the weather over here in the DMV, DC, Maryland, Virginia area. We've had rain all day, and I actually was caught in the rain a bit to and from as I had another dentist appointment. We're going to see how this works out because I finally got into my new retainers today. As you longtime listeners know, I have been doing my Invisalign treatment. With the pandemic, it only should have been for a year, but with COVID, I ended up going into some overtime, and then I needed overcorrectional trays to fix what all had. Just long story short, I was in them for a year and a half. So today, I finally got my attachments, which is basically buttons that they put on your teeth to really help align, move everything, shift everything where it needs to go accordingly. So I had my attachments taken out today. I also was given my retainers. So retainers I've got to wear now for 6 weeks. I got to treat them just like my aligners. I got to push them pretty much 24/7. I can take them out when I need to brush my teeth, all that good stuff, but I'm pretty much going to be in them pretty much nonstop for 6 weeks. And after that, I get to wear them only at night. And I also got some whitening. So we are at that finish line. I'm pretty excited. This is my first time. I've been in my retainers now for just a couple of hours. So it feels really weird. I'm letting you guys know that right now. If you hear me and it sounds like I'm stressing certain words, my sound as if I'm mispronouncing something, you gotta just bear with me. Hopefully by next week I'll really be able to break these bad boys in, but they feel a lot different than the regular aligners here. But yeah, I got caught in the rain to and from the dentist appointment, so feeling a little froggy, but you know, we'll see what we got. I don't think it's gonna really hinder the show like that. Got a poll up asking you guys, what did you think about tonight's WWE RAW? I am curious. We got the Twitter poll at the RCWR Show. While you're over there, give me a follow. Also, asking you guys, what's the deal over on YouTube? YouTube.com/the RCWR Show. Click on the Communities tab, and you can cast your vote that way. I'm curious. Let me know what you guys had thought about Raw. Jam-packed show. Look, a lot of stuff went down since last we were on the air. We didn't even talk about night one of the WWE Draft. Personal schedule tied into work. There was just no way I was going to be able to do a show as planned for you guys. So I was a little bit bummed out, but then at the same time, I really stopped and thought about it. You know what? I'm kind of glad that we're here on Monday night because we can pretty much talk about both nights of the draft. Little bit of action on Monday's Raw. Did we not get a little bit of action? Just a little tiny bit, moving along some storylines, things of that nature. Of course, I'm going to sound off for the very first time about LeBron James winning his 4th NBA title. Los Angeles Lakers taking them on his shoulders and taking them to that promised land known as the NBA Finals, taking them to another championship. We'll talk about all of that. Lars Sullivan's latest social media fiasco. And of course, for the very first time, as I did not get a chance to talk about it openly on the show, because it pretty much went down in between the shows, I'll definitely reflect on the passing of Rock and Roll Hall of Famer, pioneer as far as guitars goes, without a doubt, Eddie Van Halen of Van Halen, who lost his battle to cancer, had passed away I'll definitely reflect on that. So we're going to be going a little bit all over the place tonight. So in case you didn't check out the draft both nights, or maybe you just want to get my thoughts about the draft and everything. So compared to the mock draft that we did a couple of weeks ago, I gotta say, some of the names that I had put out there saying, hey, look, if this was my draft as far as who I'd like to see go where, I gotta tell you, there were some names that, okay, we're going in this direction. Okay, this is good. This is good. So I thought Raw and SmackDown, I thought they did relatively good. WWE as a whole, I want to give credit. I think the way that they did the draft this go round, first off, kudos to WWE for not putting us fans in a really bad position where we had to see the USA executives and then the freaking Fox executives, woohoo, and all this other stupid crap. Wasn't Cletus, the Fox NFL mascot, involved with the last draft? I could have sworn I saw some cameos by him. I could be wrong, but anyway, I'm just glad we got away from that whole stupid thing. Had no problem seeing Stephanie McMahon come out on both nights. And it's kind of funny too, because when you stop and think about it, me saying I had no problem with Stephanie McMahon essentially moderating the draft, if you will, it's not because of what went down with her hitting the Forbes list or anything like that. And kudos, the way WWE will have you believe it, they'll have you believe that she actually had made number 1 on the list or some shit like that. But she was actually number 2. And look, you asked me straight up, how many times have we seen WWE superstars do little interviews and all that for Forbes over the years? So, I mean, for me, when I look at stuff like that, I can't help but just kind of look at that one eye open and just be a little bit weary when I look at stuff like that. Okay, we're doing a little footsie. Because if we're doing a little bit of footsie, look, it's okay. We all do a little bit of footsie with our bosses, coworkers to some degree if we're trying to obtain something, okay? You just never know. You want to get in a favor somewhere down the road. It happens. But let's not try to... You feel where I'm coming from. But no, it had nothing to do with the list that she had made. As far as me happy to see Stephanie McMahon. Honestly, it goes as far back as to when I was a teenager. I grew up on Stephanie. I had a little bit of a crush on Stephanie. And to a degree, kind of still have a little bit of a crush on Steph to this very day. And I got to tell you, the outfit that she was wearing tonight, MILF's looking good. I got to tell you, god dang. I tell you, you ain't watch Raw tonight, but you got it on your DVR. You'll peep out what I'm saying. I tell you what, how low can you go? That's all I got to say. How low can you go? That's all I got to say. All right, so let's do a recap of what had went down for the draft night 1, and then we'll do a nice, easy transition into talking about the draft night 2 that they had play out on Raw tonight. So, rewinding it back. And of course, I'm not just going to go over the list and just, bam, done, subscribe. No, we're not going to do that silly little shit. I will pause here and there, and I'll tell you guys my thoughts on some of the names. Night 1, let's go to Monday Night Raw. Raw had got, because remember, the draft began on Smackdown. So, Raw drafted McIntyre. By the way, I like how Stephanie switched it up tonight. I kind of noticed there's this thing where, wait a minute, what are you being drafted? If they're not being drafted and they're staying on the same show, then shouldn't you say something along the lines of staying on Monday Night Raw, coming to, something along those lines. So, night 1 was a little sloppy for that. Night 2, you kind of saw a little something of a continuation, but then they kind of straightened it up there. So kudos to WWE from that standpoint. But Raw keeping their champion, Drew McIntyre, smart move. Keeping their Raw Women's Champion, Asuka, another smart move. The Hurt Business, Lashley, MVP, Shelton Benjamin, Cedric Alexander, very smart move. Had no problem with that. AJ Styles leaving SmackDown, coming to Raw. Honestly, I am totally okay with this move. I had no problem with this move whatsoever. Anybody else kind of find that move to be a bit convenient from the standpoint of now that Paul Heyman no longer has anything to do with Monday Night Raw? He's pretty much been relieved of his duties and all that. Anybody kind of find that interesting that AJ Styles is now back on Monday Night Raw? I mean, hey, not for nothing, but Paul Heyman at this point, he was just a on-air talent, helping out Roman Reigns, giving some pointers to the talent over there on SmackDown and everything. But you could look at this a couple of ways. One definitive way you could look at this is say, man, AJ Styles definitely wants to make sure he is not walking down the hallway and sees Paul Heyman coming in the opposite direction and he wants to run for the hills. He wants to dodge this dude at all costs. You could kind of make that argument, but I just personally think it's just, interesting. AJ Styles wasn't on SmackDown that long. And already here he is back on Monday Night Raw. Interesting little development right there. By the way, we are streaming live on multiple platforms right now. How do you do? Streaming on YouTube, also streaming on Twitch, streaming on the Periscope /Twitter, streaming on Facebook as well. So shout out to everybody, however you may be checking out this episode live for the next little bit. And of course, those of you that go out of your way to check out the show on demand and on the downloads, man, love you guys tremendously as always. So whether you're in the US, Canada, I see you guys. I see you all representing. I see how you guys be holding it down. You guys be representing when you be checking out the shows. Love you guys tremendously. All right, continuing on here. So not much more I want to add with regards to AJ Styles. Who else do we have for night one? Looking at the rest of this list here. It jumped to night two that quick. No, stay on night one. We also got Naomi on Monday Night Raw. Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler staying right where they are on Monday Night Raw. Ricochet staying on Monday Night Raw. Miz and Morrison leaving SmackDown, coming to Raw. Mandy on Raw. Yeah, I mean, look, that was kind of a no-brainer because we just got her a couple of weeks ago. So, honestly, kind of silly when you stop and think about it. I think, honestly, under the circumstances, she should have just stayed off of TV just a tiny bit longer and then maybe pull the trigger tonight about Mandy drafted to Raw. But given how things kind of played out, it gets a pass. It gets a pass. Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston drafted to Monday Night Raw. By the way, great tag match that they had against the former tag team champions on SmackDown last week. That was pretty solid. Now, of course, some of you guys may be saying that didn't watch SmackDown or Raw. Okay, so I heard you say Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston, but what about Big E? What's going on with Big E? Big E is not part of that package. Big E was actually drafted to SmackDown. So, in essence, the trio known as the New Day have officially been broken up, but we all know as fans, they will always be the New Day. Without a doubt, somewhere down the line, we're going to be seeing these guys get together. If it's a case where it's one night only, New Day reforms all three of those guys and they're taking on whoever, we're definitely going to see one-offs here and there. No doubt about that. Now, my thoughts on Big E being essentially pulled away from Xavier Woods, Kofi Kingston, in this new reinvigorated, this new refocus from the WWE. And okay, we want to have this guy be that next singles breakout star. This guy seems as though he's finally got it all pieced together. It's time. Let's fucking go there. I love this move. I love this move. I know a lot of fans are probably looking at this and their hearts are probably breaking right now. And I wouldn't be surprised if younger fans actually had shed a tear a little bit and a little bit rattled by this and whatnot. If you ask me straight up, was it a wrong decision to break up the New Day, so to speak? You know what I honestly would have preferred? I had pitched this, I think, last year, if not the year before. I'll see if I can dig around in the audio archives and pull it up as an excerpt. But longtime listeners will remember this. There was an idea I had suggested where I would have loved to seen Big E. And as a matter of fact, I think that might have been actually the general consensus of the fans. Now that I'm getting ready to put this out there again, but I remember there was something I had pitched. It was long before I was even hearing what people were saying online and in forums and everything about Big E turning on Xavier and Kofi. And it was all the gist of it. I mean, it was so long ago, I can't really remember it now, but the gist of it, I basically had Big E feeling as though he was tired of carrying the hell out of these guys. You know, it kind of felt like without him, they wouldn't really have the success that they had, and kind of feel as though basically he was being held back a bit, so to speak, from really being able to tap into his true potential and everything. So it was so long ago, you guys got to forgive me, but that was basically just a rough draft of that. Now, I'm sure a lot of you guys can probably take that rough draft. You can expand upon it, and you can really just kick that son of a bitch open and have some really cool fun with that. But you get the gist of what I was getting. So, you know, that's one idea you could have respectfully gone in. And the fact that we didn't go in that direction, I'm a little bit heartbroken about that, because who better to really help sell the story of what's currently going on with Big E and this new single star Big E and everything? Who better than your best friends? Because when you stop and think about it, some of the best rivalries that we've seen of all time in pro wrestling, it has come from parties who in real life are the best of friends, and it just clicks so damn well together, does it not? So I would have loved it if that could have been something, because I truly believe that would have been very magical, the breakup just amongst those three and it continuing to play out on TV and everything. I'd have loved to seen it. And I thought for sure right before we got the announcement about Big E being on Smackdown, Kofi and Xavier going to Raw, I was kind of getting the vibe for a little bit right after Big E was done with his match against Sheamus. You guys will know the scene I'm talking about if you have watched Smackdown from Friday. There's a scene where Big E, he is just, man, he looks defeated. He looks defeated. He looks depleted. This dude just looks as though he needs to go to his hotel room already and just mellow out for a couple of hours. He's got the ice packs on his shoulders, taped up on him and everything. And the next thing you know, Xavier and Kofi, they surprise him. And he kind of has this look on his face like, yeah, I'm happy to see you. That's nice and all. But, yeah, you know, I just went through one hell of a match against Sheamus. And what the hell? Like, you guys are kind of, I can't really get into this mindset right now. What the hell? He just kind of had that vibe, like he wanted to be in his own space. He wanted to really not interact with those guys. So I kind of picked up just, you can say I was overreading that, but for me, I just kind of got a little bit of a vibe right there as far as, oh, well, maybe as far as the next story arc goes with New Day, maybe we're kind of seeing it here. Now that it seems Big E has kind of turned it on, maybe we're now gonna, and then even at that, later on in the night, after Xavier and Kofi won the tag titles, Big E still kind of had that look on his face, and he was still kind of giving that vibe, like, I'm trying to be respectful. You know, they're my boys, but yeah, I'm kind of past this. I've outgrown this. I really don't want to be doing this anymore. That was the vibe that I continued to get. But when Stephanie put that announcement out there where they all were going, I just was like, wow. I hope that as far as the next 3 months go, next 6 months go, I hope there is a really great plan laid out for Big E. I really hope there is, because I remember I had teased it some months ago, and I cannot remember the circumstances, so please don't even ask me. But I remember saying earlier in 2020, next year's WrestleMania, Roman Reigns, Big E, make it happen. And now it's kind of looking as though we're possibly going to be getting Roman Reigns and The Rock. I mean, look, that should be a great match. I'm not shitting on that by any means, but Big E, Roman Reigns, come on, man, hook a brother up. I'm more interested in seeing that one, quite honestly, because this has been a long time coming for Big E. I mean, the moment that many of us had first saw him come to the scene on the main roster for Monday Night Raw, we took one look at this guy and we're like, who the fuck is this dude? Who is this massively big, cockstrong looking black SOB? This dude look like he's a freaking bulldozer. I mean, he just looked like $1 million freaking dollars. He just looked like it. You could tell way back then, of course, I'm talking about that first incarnation of Big E when we saw him basically teamed up with, oh, how I miss her as well, AJ Mendez and Dolph Ziggler. You know, I was like one of the first incarnations that we got of Big E, and just kind of finding his stride and everything, and not to really totally go down memory lane and everything, because I don't want to spend so much time on that, but everything just feels right as far as, well, if not now, then when? When does the trigger get pulled on Big E? So he's got all the opportunity in the world to continue to grow as a performer, as a character on the Blue brand. There is nothing wrong with him being on the Blue brand right now. Of course, one of your main big story arcs is the whole Roman Reigns tribal chief thing and everything. I'm very curious to see how, if Big E will even get intertwined in that. I'm very, very curious. I mean, you're kind of led to believe that perhaps eventually Big E and Roman before Mania, maybe they will collide for that championship. I'm legitimately hoping that they do. But before it gets to that point, I definitely would love to see Big E continue to rack up some key milestone wins as far as being a singles competitor goes. And let me tell you guys something. If you all happen to have Smackdown on your DVR and you did not watch his no disqualification match, I think it was a no disqualification, like count out anywhere type of match that he had against Sheamus, go out of your way and peep that out. That was his strongest. I know he hasn't had that many singles matches, but that was his most strongest to date. I was thoroughly impressed. That match alone left me feeling even more confident that as far as 3 months from now, 6 months from now, Big E's going to be fine as a single star. The only way I can see Big E failing is if creative fails him. So keep that in mind. If Big E fails as a singles competitor, we all need to have that as fans in the back of our mind as far as, all right, well, who do we put the blame on? Because he's going out there, whatever the playbook is, whatever the audibles are that they're calling, he's going out there and he's doing his part. And he can only do but so much. I'm putting it solely on creative. But I definitely feel in my heart of hearts, he's got the best opportunity to grow as a performer on the Blue brand. And, we'll see what happens in due time. All right, let's look at the rest of what went down for night one here. Let's see. My notes keep jumping to night two. It's like, let's talk about night two already. Okay, I'll take a hint. All right, let's speed it up a little bit here. Dana Brooke staying on Monday Night Raw. It is what it is. Angel Garza, Monday Night Raw. Smackdown on night one. They retained the services of Roman Reigns, your tribal chief. Smart move, no-brainer right there. Seth Rollins, the former Monday Night Messiah, he now comes to SmackDown. Just when you thought we were going to be done with that Mysterio storyline, though, nah, Dominic and Rey Mysterio, they too were drafted to SmackDown. Sasha Banks stays to SmackDown. Bianca Belair coming to SmackDown. Jey Uso stays right where he is on the blue brand. We already told you about Big E. Mr. Money in the Bank, Otis stays on SmackDown. Kind of weird right there with regards to Otis. I would have preferred it if Otis would have been drafted to Monday Night Raw, because I really just want to be done with that stupid ass. Actually, you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, no, we are done. We are done with that stupid ass storyline now. Because remember, he had that stupid litigation that was going on between Miz and Morrison. So I guess now that Miz and Morrison have been drafted to Raw, I guess now that's pretty much out the window. Thinking about what we had play out on Raw tonight, I don't recall Miz and Morrison, nor do I recall the commentators bringing up that stupid, silly little litigation. So I'll let you guys marinate on that one, because when you really stop and think about that from just a storyline standpoint, yeah, that was a little bit silly how that really wasn't acknowledged tonight. Maybe it'll be addressed on SmackDown. We'll have to wait and see. But that was night one in a nutshell. Look, Rollins to SmackDown, smart move. Honestly, it's a very smart move. Rollins has been on the Raw brand for so long. This is a much needed facelift, but see, here's the thing. To hear that, well, it's not just Rollins that's coming to the blue brand, Dominic and Rey Mysterio and the whole Mysterio family. So Mama Mysterio and Sister Mysterio, they're going to be coming over there as well. Look, I'll say this. It was really starting to become cringe. That's the word I want to use for tonight. It was really starting to become cringe on the Red Flagship Show. I'm curious if this can be cleaned up, tightened up even more on the blue brand. We'll have to wait and see. For those of you that maybe have not watched SmackDown in several months or just in a good minute, a lot of times the blue brand has delivered, just as far as the storylines go, they have delivered better storytelling as opposed to Raw. So I'm definitely going to be peeping out what's going to be happening right here. Another thing that's very glaring to me with regards to going in night 2 of the draft, and I'll have to rely on you guys for any updates, but you hear about Mysterio, you hear about Mysterios, you hear about Rollins. I don't recall hearing anything about Murphy. Now, unless it happened while I went away briefly, I did not hear Murphy's name brought up at all. Definitely not night 1. And to my knowledge, his name was not brought up during night 2. So I'm kind of left to the impression that Murphy is a free agent, or Murphy is going to be staying right where he is on Monday Night Raw. That's the vibe I'm kind of going with right now. But anyway, night 2 tonight. Raw takes Bray Wyatt. Smart move. I like this. I don't have a problem with this move whatsoever, because when you really stopped and thought about, okay, so exactly what is in the future for Bray Wyatt on the blue brand? If you were to leave him on the blue brand, what exactly do we have here? You know, what's the continuation here with Wyatt? And it's a smart move. I'm totally down with the move, because you only would have been able to do so much with him. And let me elaborate on that point a little more. Maybe you would have had him play around with Roman Reigns one more time. You know, you could have possibly gone in that direction. Another direction you maybe could have had him go. You know, I'm a little bit surprised that we did not get Bray Wyatt and Jeff Hardy. I'm very surprised at that because I think the two of them under the right storyline, I think that would have gelled extremely well together. So I'm a little bit disappointed that didn't happen. I'm also disappointed, well, at least for the SmackDown side of things. I have hope on the Red brand, but I was a little bit disappointed that we didn't see Bray Wyatt mix it up with New Day. I would have loved to seen him terrorize the New Day, all in the name of him eventually meeting up with Big E. And yeah, as far as Big E, that singles run, continuing to give him those key milestone wins as far as single competitions go and everything. I mean, just picture under the right circumstances, you could have had Bray Wyatt after he lost the championship to Goldberg, and then shortly after he does the triple threat match with Roman Reigns and oh god, I can't remember who the other cat was in there for the championship that Roman eventually got back. But you could have easily afterwards had Bray Wyatt somehow, as far as randomly picking out his next opponent and all that, you could have eventually had him focus his attentions on New Day, causing pain, causing strife to those guys. Great little mini program with Big E. I mean, I'm just saying. So, but very limited what you would have been able to do with him on the Blue brand, but so much. So the fact that he's now over on the Red brand, and let's be honest, when we were first properly introduced to Bray Wyatt, Firefly Funhouse and all that, it all started on Raw, and it seemed it was much more, I won't say creative, but it seemed more, what's the right word I'm looking for? I don't want to use the word organic. I don't really think that would be the word. I can't quite put my finger on it, but when you compare that brief window that Wyatt, Firefly, Funhouse segments and all that was on Raw compared to SmackDown, Raw had a different vibe as far as just the overall execution with The Fiend on there. And his stuff was just must see. You got to see what the hell he's going to do next with his Firefly segments and all that. And then once you got to SmackDown, there was still a tiny bit of a honeymoon period there where you were still pretty excited, but I won't say I was starting to become dull and bored with his stuff on SmackDown, but I did kind of feel myself going through the motions of, so where are we going exactly here, Wyatt? Like, where are we going here? Add into the mix Alexa Bliss. I love that. I love that. I love that whole new, I've been saying for the longest time, let's have Alexa Bliss go back to being a heel. You know, so I'm kind of getting my wish just a little bit there, but I don't exactly like hearing that Nikki Cross is not too far behind. Nikki Cross staying on the same brand of Monday Night Raw as her little buddy, Alexa. So we get to continue to hear Nikki Cross week after week. Oh, Lexi, what are you doing? Lexi, you're my friend. Why are you doing this, Lexi? Whatever. Anyway, all right, night 2, let's keep going. Randy Orton, smart move. Charlotte Flair, we haven't seen Homegirl in months, but Charlotte Flair, she gets to stay on Monday Night Raw. Braun Strowman coming to Monday Night Raw. Go back to the mock draft. That was actually one of the moves that I said when I was doing the mock draft. I would put him on the Red brand. And just looking, I actually have my notes here from when we did the mock draft. And as far as who all I got, let me look here. I'm just looking at the list here. I got 1, I got 2, I got 3, I got 4, I got 5. There are some names on here. a bit surprised that did not get into the mix. And I'm surprised that NXT did not get involved in this as well. Very surprised. But you know what? There's always a supplemental draft, so we'll maybe hear a little something before the week is out. Let's see here. Yeah, I'm looking at how I did. Not too bad. As far as who all got picked from the mock draft, for Monday Night Raw, Morrison I did call. Hardy I called. Strowman I called. Riddle I called. Elias I called. I'm a bit surprised that Karrion Kross did not get called. A little bit surprised by that move, but hey, it's all good. Anyway, Strowman going to Monday Night Raw. No problem with that whatsoever. Smart move. Honestly, he reached his peak over on the Blue brand. So, time for a change of scenery. Smart move right here. Fresh matchups and all that. Good move. Good move. Matt Riddle coming to Raw. Kind of interesting right there. From this standpoint, the man wasn't even on SmackDown, not even 6 months, and he's already being drafted to the other brand. I just kind of scratch my head on that one and go, but it just goes to show you as well. Sometimes controversy is a good thing surrounding an individual. Gets people talking. Be it good, be it bad, be it indifferent, it gets people talking. I'm not telling you it's a good thing as far as controversy. I'm just saying, we know this. We know the history of this. Controversy has people talk. And as Eric Bischoff used to say, controversy creates a little cash. Good transition there. So Matt Riddle getting into this weird pickle with some woman. I personally don't keep tabs on who's dating who and all of that other stuff. But in case you guys didn't know, Matt Riddle has been involved in a new scandal of his own where he's being accused of sexually assaulting a wrestler by the name of Candy Cartwright. Yeah, she accused Riddle of sexual assault in a series of tweets right before, actually earlier in the year, if you guys recall. And I'm bringing this up because now it seems as though there is a lawsuit that's going to be coming Matt Riddle's way and everything. WWE, they put out a statement and they basically said, hey, look, as far as litigation and all that goes, we're not aware of any lawsuits, any litigations that's been filed, but if it does come our way, rest assured we are going to defend our stance and we will fight this tirelessly and we will win. So you hear that and you go, okay, well, that's pretty much where, all right, so that's their position. So for those of you that don't recall this, we talked about this on the show earlier in 2020. And Cartwright, who mainly wrestles on the independent circuit, she had recalled a alleged incident that happened 2018 in which she and Matt Riddle, they were on the road together with other performers. And I quote, during the ride, when the three other wrestlers had fallen asleep, Matt asked me to hop on his dick. When I refused, although we had previously been together, I was incredibly uncomfortable in that setting. So let's marinate on this together. Because see, this needs probing and this needs clarification. So during the van ride, when the three other wrestlers had fallen asleep, Matt asked me to hop on his dick. When I refused, although we had previously been together, I was incredibly uncomfortable in that setting. So my question as a journalist, I've done my own share of interviewing and writing little story reports and things of that nature, writing little editorials. So my follow-up question would be, so if Matt would have said to you, oh, okay, well, hey, I respect that totally. Well, how about we get a room for later on tonight, you and me? So would you have put out? Or I'm just curious. Not for nothing. Getting on top of the throne, as I like to call it, in a van or a vehicle with other friends, with coworkers, that's kind of raunchy. It's a bit scandalous. If you're a female, what does that exactly say about you? What's the reputation you want for others to have about you? That you're so easy, you're a freak, you're a skank. You know, I can remember many years ago when I was a teenager. I remember me and some of my friends, we used to be in the car together, driving around on the weekends, having fun, and all that shit. And I can remember my main friend, who was the oldest, you know, and we hung out with him. He was cool, you know. One of the main reasons why we hung out with him was because he had wheels. We didn't have wheels. So, you know, we kind of looked at him like, hey, that's, you know, he's cool. You know, we looked at him like Fonzie from Happy Days. Anyway, so he had this girl. Nice girl. Nice, cool ass girl. And man, she was a freak. I'll never forget one day, we're all kicking back in the car. We're smoking a little weed. And he decides he wants to hang out with his girl in the back seat. You know, so I'm still sitting in the back seat. I'm chilling. And somebody had moved, like two people had moved up to the front seats and all that. And, you know, we got the music playing. We're just smoking, all that good shit. Next thing you know, he whispers a little something to her. She takes her hand and she's rubbing him down there. She's giving him head. Next thing you know, I'm looking at this shit. I'm going, ain't this whoo, hot damn. I rolled the window down because it was starting to get real steamy in there. You know the kind of steamy I'm talking. It does get steamy. I don't know if you guys have ever had sex in the car before, but it does get pretty foggy real quick. I roll that window down and I'm just smoking. I'm passing, you know, puff pass. That's how we're doing it. And next thing I know, I look, you know, just out of curiosity, I look, and he's basically got his pants down to his ankles, and he's laying kind of on his side on the back of the seat and everything, and he's pounding the hell out of her. You know, and she's got her little, God, what was she wearing? I think she was maybe wearing some spandex or sweatpants, some shit she was wearing. She's got her stuff down. So she's getting banged out. And I'm just like, oh man, this is totally... And the other guys, they're not looking back there. They're just kicking back. They're listening to the music. And I'm sure they were just trying to be respectful. So she's grabbing on me. And I'm like... And my man, you know, Calvin, that was his name, Calvin, he says to me, and not Klein, not Calvin Klein, I don't want you guys being cute, but his name was Calvin. So Calvin, you know, he's like, Lee. I'm like, what's up? He's like, Lee. I'm like, what? He's like, look, ninja. Like, he didn't say ninja, but you know what he was saying. I'm like, what? He's like, you want some? I'm like, nah, I'm good, dog. I'm good. You know, and she goes, are you sure? And she starts rubbing my leg. I'm like, honey, I'm good. No, thank you. Really, I'm good. And I just remember, I said to myself, man, this girl is so easy. Like what the hell? If you ever saw Saturday Night Fever, you remember the scene where John Travolta, there's that girl that she's trying hard to get with Travolta's character. She wants to dance with him. She's trying to be more than his dance partner. She's been having her eyes locked on him for some years, but he's just not interested in her. You know, he wants more than what she's offering, right? Because he can kind of tell she's desperate. And remember what happened towards the end of the movie? She basically tried to, in spite, she had Travolta's friends all basically run train on her. I just kind of got that vibe from her, and I just, man, what a slut. I just couldn't remember saying that. Now, I'm not getting all over analytical when it comes to that comment that I just made as far as a question I would have for Candy Cartwright. That's just freestyle thinking, as I'm telling you guys this revisionist history. Just whatever comes to my mind, that's how we normally do it on the show. It's not scripted in any type of way. I take great pride in that. So, when she said no, Candy Cartwright, Riddle, grabbed her by the throat, choked her, and said, "What if I just made you?" It is never okay to put your hands on a woman. It's also not okay to not listen when she says no. Cartwright said she performed oral sex on Riddle to get out of having intercourse with him. It was incredibly humiliating. So, as far as we know, she did not report this incident to the police. And she would go on and say, "I'm posting this because I have been sad for so long. I didn't realize that what he did to me was not okay. I realize now, reading this and other brave women's stories, that I can't be afraid anymore, and I have to hashtag speak out." Yeah, kind of interesting right there, right? Very, very interesting right there. Now, Riddle, of course, he responded to this, and he basically said, show me the proof. He told his fans, hey, look, if you guys lost respect for me hearing this, I totally get where you guys are coming from, but there's two sides to a story, and, where exactly, is her proof, blah, 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 this, blah, 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 that. So, new update here. Get this for you guys here. She filed, Candy Cartwright that is, real name Samantha Tavel. She's filed a $10 million lawsuit in Cook County, Illinois last week, claiming that Riddle assaulted her after she refused to perform oral sex on him. This alleged incident occurred while the pair was traveling on a bus after the Evolve 104 event that happened in Summit, Illinois. And she's also claiming that as a result of not doing this, Riddle at one point also said to her, look, I'm paraphrasing here, look, I can make your career very difficult. I'm going places. I'm the one that you don't want to trifle with, because if you want to get anywhere in this business, I can open up doors for you, but you gotta scratch my back. You gotta do me some favors. That's basically how supposedly he was spinning it on her. And he pretty much said to her, look, if you don't play with me, I got enough stroke. I can stop whatever push, whatever bookings you're going to be having in Evolve, blah, 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 yakety smackety. So, and eventually that's what happened. She had received, and she's got, the email exchange and all that with the people, but I believe it was with Evolve. Basically, they said, we're not going to be able to book you after all for this date. We're also not going to be able to book you for this date, this date, this date. Basically, all the dates that she was booked for with this promotion, she was no longer booked for, as they pretty much gave her the kiss of death and said it was brought to our attention of an incident that you had with blah, blah, blah. They didn't say the name outright by the looks of it, but pretty much they didn't want to have anything to do with her and the whole situation. So this was their out. And so now she is suing for $10 million. Look, there's two sides. Somewhere in that middle, you got the truth. This is a delicate situation right here. It's a very delicate situation right here. As I would always tell you, the listeners, we're in this society now where we're so quick to rush to judgment. We think we have all the facts. We think we know everything. And then, boom, we get hit with something, and it's, very seldom do you see people I was wrong. Very seldom do you see people that will apologize. They made a mistake. They prematurely rushed to conclusions without letting it play out the way it was supposed to play out, with more proof coming in and everything. What I will say to you guys is there's a time and a place. If this is going to go to trial, everything will come out. Everything will come out. Don't be so quick to rush to judgment. That's all I have to say. Look at what went down with Chris Hardwick from last year. Look at that whole scandal that went down. That is a prime example. You want to talk about somebody that was essentially a victim of the whole Me Too movement and all that. Look at that Chris Hardwick shit. When that shit initially went down, his spot as the Verizon Fios spokes guy, boom, that was gone. He was supposed to go film new episodes of NBC's The Wall. NBC's going, hey, we gotta see this whole thing through as far as what's going on with him, and any more litigation, any more information that comes about from this. We're just continuing to have our human resources and our legal departments evaluate this, but as it stands right now, we're not doing any new episodes of The Wall right now. AMC got rattled to the point where they were like, hey, as far as new Talking Dead episodes, Talking Bad, Talking Saw, talk whatever, talk the fucking head off. Yeah, Chris Hardwick, yeah, you ain't doing none of that. Nah. The Nerdist.com site that he was one of the founders of, they wanted to remove themselves from his name so badly. I mean, they might as well should have just omitted him as one of the founders. I mean, they even try to separate themselves from this guy. So, I mean, it was just so toxic what was going on with Chris back then. Leave it to many ex-wives, in-laws, friends that all went to bat for Chris, saying, nah, he's not like that at all. He's not capable of doing X, Y, Z. These are being blown way out of proportion, blah this, blah that. And then on top of that, your real smoking gun, you got Chris Hardwick sharing these text messages and emails as well with this woman. And it turns out when they were together, she was sleeping around on him. She was cheating on him. Okay, so you're going, all right, well, if you're going to be spreading the oats out there like that, well, there's no reason for us to really be together and all that. Like, fuck this. And he wanted out. But I guess she kind of realized the hard way that this guy was starting to go places, and she was trying desperately to patch things up with him, and he wasn't having any of it. Let me tell you something, man. The devil moves in mysterious ways and shady ways. And one of the ways that the devil always moves is through pettiness. It always moves through pettiness. Pettiness, jealousy. You got, sadly, individuals, man, I want what this person has. Rather than, hey, can you share with me your tips, trades to the secrets there, how to be successful just like you? Rather than seek enlightenment, you've got people that will be so quick to want to, well, I'm jealous of this person and what they have. I want to sabotage it. Any way possible, I want to sabotage it. And it's quite sad. But you definitely have people that operate in that fashion. So I would definitely say with this, keeping all of that in mind, let everything play out the way it's going to play out. Don't be so quick to rush to judgment on this one. Just the more information that comes out, the better. But don't be so quick to condemn somebody. That's the food for thought right there. Oh, yeah. But you know what? Despite that scandal, Matt Riddle future still seems to be looking pretty bright for him. You see that made that guy drafted to Monday Night Raw. Lars Sullivan doesn't look like he has any issues as well. We'll talk about him in a hot little bit. Jeff Hardy coming to Monday Night Raw. Retribution staying right where they are. Keith Lee stays right where he is. We already told you Alexa Bliss is down Monday Night Raw. Elias, we hadn't seen Elias in a good minute. Elias now on Monday Night Raw. Lacey Evans, Monday Night Raw. Nikki Cross, Monday Night Raw. R-Truth staying right where he is. From Raw Underground, Daba Kato. So he's been drafted to Raw. What's going on with Raw Underground? It kind of seems as though Raw Underground is no more. Just quietly, we have been hearing nothing about Raw Underground. Titus O'Neil staying right where he is on Raw. I wasn't even aware that Titus was still wrestling for the Red Brand. Peyton Royce wrestling on Monday Night Raw. We did not hear what was going on with her former tag partner in Billie Kay. Akira Tozawa staying on Monday Night Raw. So the slapstick comedy between Tozawa and R-Truth continues, apparently. SmackDown on this night too. Retain the services of Bayley. They bring in the Street Profits, keeping Daniel Bryan. Drafted Kevin Owens. Lars Sullivan having his own little controversy as well. And look, I thought it was kind of funny that you had dirt sheets and websites going, Lars Sullivan has ruffled the feathers of many backstage in WWE over his latest allegations, his latest social media harassment of a woman. And it's like, yeah, no shit. Probably his peers and some other people are probably gonna be ruffled the wrong way with this latest Lars shit. For those of you that are not aware about the Lars Sullivan situation, this is one, you gotta take a step back once in a while, and you just gotta say to yourself, goddamn, Velveteen Dream, Lars Sullivan, Matt Riddle, Austin Theory, where does this shit end? Seth Rollins, where does this shit end? Seriously. And all of these guys, they just continue to just bring it on in, man. They just continue to bring it on in. But anyway, so Lars Sullivan, this is a... when I first heard about this story, I just shook my head. And one of the first questions I said was, okay, so where's the harassment? Now, I'm not being a dick. Ladies, I'm with you 100% when it comes to the harassment. I just need y'all to stay with me. Before you go, fuck you, Lee, just hear me out for a second. Especially if you don't know anything about this story. You'll feel where I'm coming from in a hot second here. Okay, so there's this woman on Instagram, and it looks as though the way she's got things set up on her social media accounts, she's a trainer. And, if you got the money, she'll definitely give you some training tips. I would think she'll even be your online trainer, basically, and all that. And, if you guys are curious, I'll actually put a link to her profile. I actually put a link to the profile for her in the chat. And you guys will actually see it right now. In 3, 2, 1, bam. There it is. And for those of you that's going to be listening to this on demand and on the downloads, you can follow her on Instagram. Yoga for the Athlete. Again, Yoga for the Athlete. With a unique handle like that, she should be the only one with that. You'll know her when you see her. Her name is Anika Nadio Fuji. And she's got almost 8,900 followers. So you'll know her when you see her. Okay? And her bio, wellness expert, yoga, part-time life coach, founder, Yoga for the Athlete. She's an instructor for UT, what is that? UT Austin, Texas. Maybe that's what she's trying to say. I'm not really sure. You look at, a lot of the pictures that she has, there's nothing scandalous. I know that everybody has had their fair share of going on X-Hamster or Pornhub.com. I feel like blowing a load real quick, but I don't really know what I'm going to be blowing a load to. Well, gee, I know. I'll go ahead and blow a load to women in tight dresses and jeans and spandex walking in the grocery store. Yeah, that's what I'll look for. Or, I think I'll look for women with camel toe, with serious camel toe, and they working out in the gym. That's what I'm gonna look for. Yeah, buddy. Yeah. So you look at this stuff that she has. Is she aware that she's nicely shaped? I think from a lot of these pictures that she has, I think she's very well aware. At the same time, I am not seeing, with all the pics that she has, I am not seeing anything about I'm selling sex. I'm not seeing that 100%. I bullshit you not. I'm not seeing that. And not for nothing. I'm not saying she is an ugly woman. The last thing I would do, especially at the age that I'm at, the last thing I would do is call anybody ugly. She has a kind of a tomboyish, kind of a ordinary look. Not exactly somebody if you saw walking down the street. I mean, teach its own. But not exactly if I was a bachelor and I'm walking down the street and I see her and she's wearing, like in one picture, she's wearing a sweatshirt. Not exactly somebody I could see myself, hey, how you doing? Nothing like that at all. Yeah, I mean, that's just me personally, to each its own. But you see a lot of the pictures that she has, and she's taking her workout and all that very seriously, training and all that very seriously, okay? So, you're looking at that and you're going, okay, cool. You know what her stuff almost reminds me of? I'll tell you, it almost reminds me of my girl, Nikki Rocks. I love me some Nikki Rocks, and shout out to her. She's pregnant once again. She's going to be welcoming a third child into this world. I miss her tremendously as far as her contributions to the wrestling business and all that, but I'm happy to see that she was able to put the wrestling life behind her, and she's doing phenomenal. But she's one that, when I look at this girl, I think of Nikki Rocks, because Nikki is always posting health tips and all kinds of cool stuff, motivational and all that. So nothing sexual here. There really isn't. You just gotta be that fucking horny to be like. So Lars apparently has been a client of this girl for a good minute now. A good minute. And there was, some exchanges that she had shared with some of the dirt sheets. And I'm going to get on the dirt sheets' asses in a hot minute about this. I'm going to get on their asses and the websites, because what all you motherfuckers did this weekend was fucking clickbait. That's what y'all basically did. Y'all made something out of fucking nothing. Hey, look, I hope it helped out with your Google AdWords, and all that other bullshit. And not for nothing, but this woman isn't exactly a babe in the woods, if you know what I mean. I'll get to all of that in a hot second. So Lars is striking up, little conversations with her and everything. And, you can see basically, where he's coming from. Hey, you're pretty attractive. Oh, man. Such a great body. Such a great, nice, tight body. Looking good, girl, keep it up. All that kind of shit. And then, he says a little something that, okay, well, nah, it's not really, what's the word I want to use? That's not really, I ought to bitch slap you in the face for saying that. But it is one of those, hey, respect my boundaries. I've already said to you that I don't do XYZ, and yet you're asking me for XYZ. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? So, you see this exchange here. I'm trying to see if I can actually pull up the show thumbnail. Because the show thumbnail, that's the main one you guys want to see here. Let me pull it up real quick here. Bear with me a second here. And I'll pull this up. Matter of fact, I think I still got it open. Where is that? I think I still got it open. Yes, I do. Here it is. All right. So, and when you go on our Instagram page, you see this one photo that a lot of the sites, they're going, oh, we gotta black this out with a Sharpie because she was showing her pussy walls. Oh my God. She was not showing her vagina. She was not showing her boobs. She wasn't showing her keeping for her bunghole. Keeping for my bunghole. She wasn't showing any of that. The only thing she was showing that, again, these are the sites that are trying to play y'all up for the clickbait and all that other shit. The only thing that she was showing that was blacked out was her sitting down on, I guess a sofa or something. Looked like a sofa. And she's showing off her legs and her nice yin-yang wolf tattoo. And it looks as though there's a cat that's sitting right beside her. And these dirt sheets and all that, they were just, I mean, not for nothing, she's got on a black t-shirt and just a little tiny bit of her tummy is showing, and she's got on black underwear. It's not a thong, it's not a G-string, and yet the sites will have you believe that what Lars Sullivan was responding to, was, she got the whole world out in the open. No, it wasn't like that at all. So, anyway, Lars comments basically, it looks like on this one picture. I mean, and if it's a different picture, let me know. And I would gladly freaking retract that. But I bet you if it is a different picture, even at that, it does not warrant the dirt sheets and all that going, we gotta black that out because, oh my God, we can't show that on our site. That's gonna get us in trouble. No, whatever. Anyway. So Lars Sullivan says, incredibly beautiful. I absolutely love your legs. He follows it up and he says, I gotta do this like Dave Chappelle the crackhead. Lars, I love you. I will defend you to the end, brother. Let the record show that when it came to that whole gay porn stuff, y'all can go back and listen. I defended Lars. I didn't spend 30, 40 minutes making fun of the guy. None of that stupid shit. I kept it serious and I was honest. Lars, I got to get on you for this one because this is funny because you kind of sound like the Dave Chappelle crackhead there. You sound like me every single time I want to get my girl to get me something to eat from Wendy's or whatever. You got any more of them spicy nugs? Yeah, this is Lars. You got any booty pics in those, hun? So obviously he wants to see some booty pics of her. Okay. So doesn't sound like anything as far as, hey, I want to see your vagina. He wants to see some booty pics. Okay. Not really harmless, right? But considering her profile, what she's about, and all of that, well, unless she has created that window of opportunity kind of like Tammy Sitch, Sonny, you kind of got to stay within your boundaries here. So she comes right back and she says, hey, Lars, I'm going to refund you your money. Remember that. Marinate on that. Remember it. Hey, Lars, I'm going to refund you your money. I told you before, I block people who send me messages like this, so you've kind of had a warning. I don't have time to work with clients who don't respect boundaries. I'm a happily married woman. It's also not very smart on your part given you're quite well known. Now, somebody give me Lars Sullivan's age. I sadly did not look up his age before I went live tonight because it all ties to a point that I made. So if you're watching this live, give me his age real quick. I'll buy you some time as I get ready to set this up. Okay. Lars, big man, let me holler at you for a second. I'm going to give you the most soundest, realest, solid piece of advice right now, my friend. And again, you can take this from somebody that was not bashing you, making fun of you when you did the gay porn stuff. Y'all can go back, you can listen to, I think it's on YouTube actually, but you can go back and you can listen to it or just pull it up in the audio archives. I'm sure you'll be able to pull it up with ease. Lars, what are you thinking, dude? Seriously. Think from this standpoint. Even though you were not asking for camel toe pictures, even though you weren't asking to see pics of her vagina, even though you weren't asking for pictures of her breastises and the nippleses, you know, that is still borderline harassment. Is it sexual harassment? Yes. It is. Is it a mild case of sexual harassment? It is. And shout out to EJ7, 32 according to Wikipedia. So let's take that for what it's worth with a grain of salt. Let's just say he's in his early 30s, just to be on the safe side. That fair to say? He should know better. That's the point that I'm saying. He should know better. Lars, you just had whoever it was that you pissed off, be it in the gay community or whatever, you already pissed off some people that were fuming at what you had to say about blacks, about homosexuals, the LGBTQ community, that in retribution, in retaliation, that's the real retribution right there, not what you see on Monday Night Raw each week. The real retribution is this cat that keeps doing this stuff with Lars, essentially. But this cat, that's retribution, puts this gay porn out of Lars. And if there was ever a teachable moment right here, it's be careful how you treat people, be careful how you utilize social media, because things have a weird way of coming back and kicking you in the ass if you think you can just get on social media and just do XYZ. Just do whatever the hell you feel like without worrying about any type of repercussions whatsoever. So, in the case of this yoga athlete, if she already has it be known when you sign up for membership and all that other shit that, hey, don't be asking me for scandalous pics, don't be asking me for this, respect my boundaries, blah this, blah that. And you decide, you know what, first of all, just because you're paying somebody money on a weekly or monthly, I don't care how many times you're paying them, it does not give you the right to feel as though you can request, you can demand, and you can treat that individual any type of way. I see how people sometimes react to the Jordan Graces, and I'm sure you guys have seen it as well. They think that they can talk and treat individuals in a demeaning, degrading way because, you're taking the money anyway, so no. I look at this yoga instructor, a lot of positivity in what she's trying to do as far as, what she's trying to do for her clients and all of that. But I'm going to get on her ass too. There's self-accountability on all sides. But from the side of Lars, for Lars, the biggest takeaway, especially after the gay porn situation, should have been, you know what? I just need to be done with social media, period. If I am going to have anything to do with social media, it's going to be with my longtime close friends, and it's going to be with my family. That is it. That is it. If WWE insists that I have a Twitter account, that I have a Twitch account or whatever, let them manage it. I don't even want to know the password for it. I don't want to access it. I am good. I will just keep my little Facebook or my own little family social media account over here, and that is going to be it. Lars, that's how you should have been operating since that first incident. And yet, here we are today. Have we not learned anything is the question that I would pose. Now, Lars should have known better. That's it in a nutshell. Now, this yoga woman knew very well who Lars was. I'm not sure if that is because he continued to have such a rapport with her that he was, telling her intimate things, providing personal info. I mean, your guess is as good as mine, or maybe she knows her wrestling, and even at that, hey, you just come as you are. I don't care who you are. I respect your time. I respect your privacy. You're my client. It's all good. I don't know what the case of that was, but this is what I don't understand from this yoga woman, in which I think she used this opportunity as her 15 minutes of fame to try to get herself more exposure. And the clickbaiting websites, dirt sheets and all that, they did not really help the matter. Let me explain. If this person violated one of your rules as far as harassing you for